to the channel for another video. Happy October, because today you're joining me on the 1st of October. It's currently shortly after 4:30. I'm about to start my day, but today's video I wanted to take you through actually breaking down what is needed in order to grow and things that you need to have place in your growth phase in order to see not just a productive growth phase, but hopefully a long, sustainable growth phase as well, which I think is where a lot of people go wrong, is their growing phases are cut short or then just not moving forwards as productively as possible. So we're going to go through that in today's video, break that down into 3 elements. We've got nutrition, we've got training, and we've got recovery. And then on top of that, we're also going to talk about the importance of what that growing phase needs to look like with regards to your actual rate of gain, and then how that contributes to mainly those other factors, especially your nutrition. For now though, I'm going to crack on with my morning of work before I have my first meal of the day. So I'm going to do some check-ins, some normal client check-ins, some prep check-ins, lots of peak weeks going on at the moment, and we will all catch up at meal number 1. Whilst I am now in preparation for my first meal of the day, I thought it'd be great to touch on the first important point of having a successful growing phase, which is, of course, as we all know, being in a calorie surplus. You can train really hard, you can do everything else that you need to do in your routine, you can eat all your meals, manage everything perfectly, but if you are not actually in a calorie surplus, you will literally not have the energy available in order to grow. So making sure that you are in a surplus within your diet is very, very important. Making sure that you're in an appropriate surplus as well, it's probably one of the key things that people miss off. You want to make sure that within your surplus, you're not in too much of a surplus or too little of a surplus, because both can be detrimental. You know, like too little of a surplus, you're not really going to get anywhere, and you're probably going to spend a lot more time just spinning your wheels over anything else. But too much of a surplus, what's going to happen is, one, you're probably going to put on too much body fat too fast. You're going to get more body fat relative to muscle mass. You're going to then end up in a position where you're cutting that growing phase short, so you now have less room in order to grow. Rather than getting maybe 6 months to grow, you've had 3 months to grow, and they've been not very productive months of growing. And then that's also because you just run into issues. You know, you're going to have digestive issues, you're going to have appetite issues, you're going to have issues with insulin resistance. Your performance is maybe going to get worse because you gain too much body weight overall, or too much body weight too fast. So making sure that the rate of gain is adequate is very, very important. And for most people, that's going to be 0.25 to 0.5% of your body weight per month. On average, that's kind of generally where you want to be per week. Roughly, it works out as about usually 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds on average per month. That's kind of where you want to be. Because you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, you know, you want to be then like 0.5 pounds per week, but that's not always going to be the case. Rate of gain isn't always going to be super linear. You're going to see fluctuations within that, especially as a female. Just put the extractor fan on so we don't burn the house down. Especially as a female, you'll see a lot of fluctuations around your cycle. If you're somebody who works shifts or you have unpredictable routine, you're not always going to see that same rate of gain every single week. Some weeks you might gain a pound, some weeks you might be down a little bit. Now, obviously, the more consistent that you are with your routine, the more predictable that rate of gain is going to be. But track it over a monthly basis, and it's why tracking your body weight on a daily basis is very, very important, because not because you're over-analysing it and every single day the body weight matters, but it's because you understand that the daily body weight actually doesn't really matter. It's the overall trend over time that is actually the most important thing, and being able to look at that on a monthly basis. So you need to be in a surplus to make sure, as I say, that rate of gain is adequate. If you're gaining at about 1.5 to 2 pounds per month, you're pretty much in the region of where you want to be. Now, that might be up or down based on what your overall total body weight is, but that's roughly where you're going to want to be on that front. So everyone always asks, what does my surplus need to look like then? You know, how much of a surplus do I need to be in? What's my
macros, what's my calorie target. Now, that's why the tracking of the body weight is so important, because that is literally going to give you feedback so that you can see, based on what you're eating right now, are you at maintenance, are you in a deficit, are you in a surplus? Because if your body weight is just staying the same, then you're at maintenance. If your body weight is going down, then you're probably in a deficit. And if your body weight's going up, then you're in surplus. So you can track your body weight and you can see, okay, am I trending up appropriately? Am I actually trending up a bit too slow right now? Like your weight's just been pretty stable. Okay, cool. You need to put more food in. You need to be in more of a surplus. Now, if you're tracking your body weight and you're seeing that the trend is going up great, training's going well, everything's moving as needed, body comp's in a great spot, then the surplus is great. Don't need to change anything. You know, and like that's where I'm at right now. And it's funny because people will look at my diet sometimes and say, oh, is that all you're eating to be in a surplus? It's like, yeah, like this is all that I need to eat for my body weight, for my body needs to be in a calorie surplus, because my body weight's moving up well. So you can't always say, yes, you can use things like, you know, calorie calculators just to get a rough idea, but then track your body weight, understand your response, because everybody's going to be very, very different. And a lot of that is also dependent on output, lifestyle, routine, genetics, so many things. But right now, I am eating an appropriate surplus for my goals. My rate of gain has been really good, pretty much spot on. I'm currently between like 126 to 128 pounds. My body weight has been showing, again, more fluctuations because I've been doing a lot of travel lately. So when I've been traveling more, my routine has been quite different. It means that I'm obviously maybe weighing in different locations, I'm going to sleep at different times, sometimes eating meals at different times when I'm at show days, but the rate of gain is good overall, on trend. So that's the main thing. So today's going to give you a little bit of an insight as to what my surplus looks like, so you can just have a little bit of an example. So for me today, on a pull day, I have 250 grams of carbs, I have 55 grams of fat and 170 grams of protein. So I'll put that up here so you can see that and you can see the macros. We're going to break it down meal by meal, macros by meal as well, so you can see how I break that down over the day. But that for me is what I need to eat to be in a surplus. This is also one of my higher days of eating, so I do have a little bit more food on pull days because they're probably my most demanding days, and also it feeds into a leg day for me as well, so it kind of works out quite nicely. My other days, rest days, push days, even pull days, are a little bit lower. I like to split my macros over the week because I find that it works a little bit better for me with regards to fueling specific sessions, and also with regards to just keeping like appetite and insulin sensitivity, all those things in a good spot, by having some days where I do eat slightly lower intake for me. So meal number one then, it is now 6:15, so I've been awake for 2 hours now. I do like to spend the first hour and a half to 2 hours just doing some work or going on a walk. At the moment, I do work for the first couple hours a day because I'm quite busy with, as I said, clients that are in peak week, so I've just shifted my routine around a bit. So I work initially, then I eat, and then I do a little bit of walk. Ideally, when I can do a little bit of a walk before my first meal, I do much prefer to do so, but it just kind of depends on the busyness of the day. But a couple of hours, just getting some work in when I'm nice and focused, but not fasting for too long, because I do need to make sure that I get my meals in, and honestly, I'm just making sure that I'm not fasting for prolonged periods, and I'm actually getting my first MPS spike of the day, which is sometimes where people can maybe go a bit wrong, where they're maybe fasting for a long period of time and then meals are crammed in, they're not spiking MPS, or their MPS spikes are really close together. So do make sure that if you are fasting for a little bit, you're mindful of how long that time period does go on for. So first meal here, macros for this meal are 25 grams of protein, 10 grams of fat and 10 grams of carbs, so a lower carb meal, which I like to have first thing. That's also something that helps me with keeping insulin sensitivity in a good spot, especially if I'm not doing a huge amount of movement first thing in the morning. That's something that then helps with keeping my response to food in a good place, making sure my appetite's in a good spot, making sure I get good pumps in training, etc. So if you're struggling a lot with getting good pumps, struggling a lot with your appetite, you might benefit from doing some low carb or no carb meals in your day, especially first thing, just to help you with managing your blood glucose, managing your insulin sensitivity a little bit better as well. So what we have got for the meal, 100 grams of venison, 100 grams of tomatoes, a little bit of kimchi, and we've also got some raspberries. So I've got 100 grams of raspberries here, 10 grams of dark chocolate. So I like to have something a little bit sweet alongside of this as well. And that will be the first meal of the day.
It is now 9 o'clock, as you can see on my phone, hopefully, there we go. And it's time for the pre-workout meal, which is of course a very, very important meal. So this meal for myself, I've got 35 grams of protein, 30 grams of protein from whey, but of course you have trace protein from like the oats, the nut butter, etc. 35 grams total, 65 grams of carbs and 12 grams of fat. The way that looks for me is I have got 75 grams mix of cream of rice and oats, 20 grams of cashew butter. I personally like this one. And then I've also got 100 grams of raspberries. So that will be the pre-workout meal. Obviously this meal is where you will now see carbohydrates in the diet, which is obviously very, very important going into train. Good amount of carbohydrates, prioritise a good amount of carbohydrates pre-workout. Even if you are dieting and you're keeping your carbs a little bit lower, honestly, I would say if you need to remove them from anywhere, remove them from any meal aside from that pre-workout meal. If you can keep carbs in the pre, definitely a smart place to be. I've even been in some spots where I've pulled some out of the post-workout meal and I've not really had any in post when food's been very low, but definitely keeping them in pre-workout. But obviously we're talking in the context of growth phases, so definitely make sure that you've got a good amount pre. It would be kind of nonsensical for you to be saving it for the rest of later in the day, or even having some earlier but then not having a good meal before you go and train, because that's going to obviously fuel your session. So good amount of carbs. I like to do some fats here as well, just keep blood glucose stabilized well throughout the session. And also if you do have like dark chocolate, which usually I would sometimes do dark chocolate, but I'm just liking cashew butter at the moment, there are some benefits of like vasodilation, things like that as well, which can help with getting a bit of a pump. But honestly, it just tastes nice above all else. So going to eat this now, watch something. We're sitting in the front room at the moment to just kind of switch off before we go and train, especially if you need to like get out of my office. It's good for me to sit elsewhere, watch something training related, go train. We've got pull day, deadlift day today, which is always a fun day, so I'll show you a little bit of that session as we do go along. And yeah, then we'll head to the gym. Pre-workout will be coffee, a pumpage, and then I'll have EAAs in my intra. We'll be good to go. I apologise, I forgot to talk through my post-workout meal, but here it is. We've got 100 grams of chicken, 70 grams of rice cakes, 100 grams of nectarine and a little bit of veggies. So that meal was 30 grams of protein, 2 grams of fat and 70 grams of carbs. I very clearly here stolen AJ's office. This is not my office. We all know my office space is down in the kitchen, but going to use this time to talk through the next point and then also take you through the post-workout setup as well. Hopefully though, maybe sometime in the next year, I might have an office. Keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully we'll see some progressions there and some improvements in the filming setup. But I wanted to come on to the next point of this video, which is talking through obviously the most important factors when it comes to growth. And we've already touched on nutrition, we've already touched on the surplus. The next and obvious most important point is going to be training. And I'm going to overlay some of today's training session. I'm not going to do a training walkthrough because you've seen my sessions so many times, but today was a pull day. It was a very, very, very good pull session, some strong work. I'm getting to a really good spot with my deadlifts at the moment, which is really fun. So I'm currently running stiff leg deadlifts. I do a mixture of rep ranges, doing a lot more feeder work at the moment. So last session I did 125 for 5, which was a very late session. We did it pure gym at like 11 p.m. But today was a normal session. I managed to get 117.5 for 8 going, which was a good set for me to take today, considering the fact that I'm due a rest day tomorrow, and I also had a massage yesterday. I also did some HIIT cardio on the stairs yesterday, so that's a new adaptation to get used to. So overall a good set and a good session. And you know, I am, as I've said before, doing a good amount with training at the moment. My training split is either 3 days on, 1 day off, repeat, or sometimes I'm doing 6 days on, 1 day off. So sometimes I will take that extra rest day, other times I will continue to go on depending on how I feel. And the way that looks at the moment is I'm doing legs, push, pull, legs, push, pull, rest. So that's what I did like last week. This week I'm actually going to do legs, push, pull, rest, and then legs, push, pull again, just because of the fact that I'm honestly feeling a little bit mashed. I need a little bit more time this week with us going to Ireland this weekend for the MBFI, so taking a little bit of extra rest, but training is in a progressive spot. I'm pushing myself with the maximum amount that I can do with regards to volume, training the best quality I can do, and obviously pushing myself to progress in some shape or form every single session, every single set, everything that I do. And that is obviously absolutely necessary in order to create that stimulus for growth. And this is where, you know, people will say, so many times you hear the argument over and over and over again, but it's like, do I need to worry about my nutrition, or do I need to worry about my sleep, or do I need to worry about my training? Like, everything matters. That's a fact. It's not worry about your training more. It's not worry about your nutrition more. It's you need to do everything. And the best bodybuilders, the people who make the best progress, are the people who do everything. Like, you do need to make sure that you are ticking all of those boxes. But what I will say is that I think when you're assessing which one do people probably need to improve more, especially in a growing phase, I'd say in a lot of ways it is the training. Because when you kind of think about it, like, everyone can kind of follow a meal plan, and some people can't, and adherence is up for debate. But you can eat your meals, prep your meals, do what you need to do on that front, go in, do your session. But the thing that really makes a difference between bodybuilders, especially at the top level, the ones who really, really, really do make leaps and bounds of progress and go on to be ultimately the best, the most competitive, are the ones who do train the fucking arse off. And it's hard to train hard consistently, to push yourself, to build up the skill of training, to train with high quality, high intent, but also really be willing to push yourself on a consistent basis. So I would personally argue that the thing that does make the biggest difference between a lot of competitors, where most competitors are nailing the process, they're ticking the boxes, they're doing their cardio, they're eating their meals, you know, they're getting good sleep, whatever it may be, is how much you're actually giving it in the gym. Because what you're doing in the gym, that is what is actually building the muscle. You know, all the things around it are, of course, supporting good performance, supporting good recovery, and they are then eliciting that muscle growth. But out of everyone who's doing all those things anyway, you then have the variable of training. And it's like, are you actually pushing training to its full limit or not? And it's why in coaching, you know, like, one of the most important things that I will make sure all my clients do is send me form clips. Like, I can't coach you to make the best possible progress if I'm not seeing your training at all. You know, there's some clients that, yeah, I've been training for years and I know that their coaching, their training is in a good spot. So they don't have to meticulously have it picked apart every single week. But for the most part, you can still always improve your training, and making sure that you are consistently driving up your training is the thing that creates the stimulus and creates and forces, obviously, that adaptation for you to then grow. So without that forced adaptation, nothing's going to happen. You know, and I think I used to think that a lot as well. I always trained hard, and I've always loved training, but I think at the start of my process, I was very much like, oh, well, I nail everything, and I eat all my meals, and I never miss a beat, and everything's to the gram, and like, yeah, of course, but then it's like you're kind of missing the point in other areas, because it's not just about being a professional meal prepper and a professional dieter. It's like, you are a bodybuilder. So it's like, you need to do really, really, really hard shit in the gym and push your body to do shit in the gym that it doesn't want to do if you want to make serious progress. So that's something that just, honestly, like, it's going to take time. And, you know, training hard and training hard well is a skill, but it is important that you do consistently work on that. And it's why I want to keep sharing more of that, even on this channel, because I know I share a lot of the routine, and that's all great, because I do also think there's probably always going to be some people who are like nailing the gym side, but they're missing out on progress because they're maybe not nailing everything outside of the gym as well. But I think more so, for the most part, like,
that intensity of training, especially as a female athlete, especially as a natural bodybuilder, it's like you can push yourself so much more than you think you can. You've been led to believe that you can, and that's why I'm very fortunate that I have some great people in my life. I've got some amazing friends who have proven some of the incredible things you can do in natural bodybuilding. I've obviously got AJ in my life day by day, who has constantly pushed my boundaries of what I think can be possible, and he gives me really good perspective where like he is kind of like the benchmark, and I will often think like, oh, I could push myself more because he's here, and because I'm constantly kind of chasing him in some elements, when he is a very strong individual and he's also a male, I end up going way beyond the limitations I could have just set myself. If day by day all I did is go in the gym and go, oh, well, I'm natural, and oh, I'm just a small female and I'm never going to do X, Y, Z. But, you know, when I see him pulling the weight that he does, or moving the things that he does in legs, and, you know, pushing himself in whatever session it is, it gives perspective. And I don't ever really think to myself like, well, I just don't limit myself by my set factors. I just go in and get after it, and that's what I love to do. I absolutely, truly love it. And I think when you genuinely want to progress, you will fall in love with how challenging that part of the process is. Like, challenge is not bad. Something being hard is not bad. I love things that are hard. I love things that are difficult. I love things that are challenging. You know, something being challenging doesn't have to be a negative thing. Like, I don't know why sometimes we think, oh, this was really difficult, this was that. Like, yeah, like if I know I've got the hard set, I'm like, oh yeah, like I've got a hard set now, like let's go. And you can create that mentality for yourself, and I've curated that over years and years and years. And if you want to create that, you can do. So those are my thoughts on training. I obviously came back from the gym and I had my post-workout meal, which I will share the macros of with you now, and I'll overlay this on the screen. So my post-workout meal today was 30 grams of protein, 70 grams of carbs, and 2 grams of fat. So predominantly having like a fast digesting protein source here, fast digesting carbs, usually something rice based because it's going to digest well, and some fruits alongside of it. And there are some benefits of having like fructose and that increasing GLUT4 transporters, so basically increasing your uptake of carbohydrates. But I also just like fruit, to be honest. So I have in this meal 100 grams of chicken, veggies, a little bit of sauerkraut as always because I like sauerkraut and it's good for gut health in appropriate amounts. Then I also had that with 70 grams of rice cakes, and that is a meal. So that's the post-workout meal. Had that at 2 o'clock. I'm now just doing some final steps of the day, doing some extra bits of work. Then it will be time for my meal number 4, and I will guide you through then the kind of third and final point that I want to talk through for today, with, you know, important things that you need to manage if you wish to grow and maximize your progress. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a walk on the treadmill here because the weather is disgusting. Do some more work, get back to some more messages, and yeah, I'll catch up with you all at the next meal, which is, I have to be honest, the next meal is my favourite meal of the day. So stay tuned. Now, I would usually sit in the front room also for this meal, but I'm going to sit in the kitchen today, so I'm apologising that we are basically in the same place for the whole video, but I do live 90% of my life in this room, so it's just honest, it's real. I eat in here, I work in here, and that's just normal life. I'm not over glamorizing or pretending that I do anything different, but reason I'm in here is because AJ's watching something that I don't really want to watch in there, and I've got a little bit more work to do after this meal, and I know that if I go and sit on the sofa, I'm not getting back up, so I'm not going to make that mistake. What have I got for my next meal? We've got this here with us. This meal in terms of macros is 35 grams of protein, 11 grams of fat, and 45 grams of carbs. That's correct. Obviously, a few little decimal places here and there, but that's the gist of this meal. What we have to make that up is we've got a glorious 100 grams of Leap Wild smoked salmon. We've got 100 grams of Jason sourdough. We've got 50 grams of smashed avocado. This is the holy moly, that's what it's called. Holy moly smashed avocado. 50 grams of that.
and then just a little bit of veg, a little bit of salsa, only a small amount with this meal. And that's the drill. This is literally like, this is like one of my favourite meals ever, because salmon, avocado on toast. Sometimes if you've got enough fats, put an egg in there. Incredible. So I'm going to consume this meal. I'm going to, as always, switch off from any work whilst I eat, watch something on my laptop, which I've got here. Not too sure what, but basically something that is relaxing and just easy to watch. Whilst I eat, let me know if you have any preferences of what you watch while you eat. Usually I'll watch like Bro Chat if there's an episode, or if I want to watch something that is non-bodybuilding related, I will watch something travel-y, or obviously something like F1 related if there's something relevant on. Or I like to watch a lot of, honestly, I like to watch a lot of Harry Potter videos. Those that know, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so I like to watch all the lore videos and all of that stuff because I'm an absolute nerd, but that's totally fine. So if you have anything specifically that you like to watch, especially while you eat, let me know your preferences, let me know your suggestions. But without further ado, I shall actually consume this meal. Otherwise I'll probably be here all day. Good evening, guys. I'm just making my final meal. AJ is giving a motivational talk to the Amazon delivery man, which usually happens is they come round and then they chat, and then AJ will talk to them about living their dream, finding their passion, working hard. It's actually quite inspiring, actually, and very nice of him. So he's doing that, I'm doing this. I'm making my last meal, which is a little bit different now to what you've previously seen. I've removed the creamy on this day, on leg days, on pull days, on very cold days. I've removed the creamy, mainly today because my food is higher. So this last meal I have 35 grams of protein, 55 grams of carb, and like 18 grams of fat, I think. So I just don't really need a creamy. Not when my food is at this intake. When your food is like literally just pro-fat, then yeah. But right now, I don't. So I've got 150 grams of raspberries. I've got 4 Snack Jacks, 20 grams of dark chocolate, I do 10 grams of nut butter, and 30 grams. Boy, I heard you giving a nice motivational chat.
Yeah, most of the time, my experiences with Amazon delivery drivers is a discussion regarding the car,
yeah,
and some form of motivational chat. But to be fair, it's right. Like he said, I'll never be able to afford something like that. Not that he even wants something like my car. But I was like, yeah, you can. Anyone can. And he was like, oh, but I'm not smart. And I was like, you don't need to be smart.
no.
You just need to find something that you love, something you're passionate about, and then if you want to make a lot of money with something you're passionate about, you can.
Yeah.
You absolutely can.
Especially
now. You don't have to. You can just find something that you're passionate about, which probably is not, no offense to anyone that does that. If you're passionate about delivering parcels, do it. But, probably not something that he's clearly that passionate about. So go and find something that he is. Simple as that. But people either don't want to or
Don't think they can.
The most limiting thing is your own mind. Cheers, guys.
That's AJ's only input in this vlog. It's actually been quite a good input, to be honest. I'll give him credit for that. But it's very true. It is very true, because even in what I do, I know you might think, oh, everyone's an online coach, blah, blah, blah. I never thought I'd be able to do what I get to do on a day-by-day basis. I didn't think I'd ever get to do anything that I'm passionate about, especially what I do is quite a niche thing, and I love it, and I'm very grateful every single day that I do get to do this. And a lot of my family members just told me that's never possible, be able to do that, you need to go work in this job, and if you want to do that as well, that's also fine, but I didn't, and I'm glad that I stuck it out and put in the work to be around today. That's completely irrelevant to the video, but it is a very important message to take away. But I'm now going to eat this meal. I'm going to watch the remainder of the programme that we're watching. We've still got a while left. We're watching Black Rabbit at the moment on Netflix. It's decent. It's a good watch if you like Jason Bateman. You'll probably like it. I wouldn't say it's like the best thing I've ever seen, but it's watchable, and it's something nice to focus on at the end of the day. And that brings me to the final point of this video, which is obviously talking about all the the factors that are important for growing. We've gone through nutrition, surplus training. The other point is rest and recovery. You need to get sufficient sleep. You need to have a good sleep routine. Make sure that you actually get enough sleep every night, but a big part of getting enough sleep is making sure that you wind down at a good time. You have a bedtime like an adult. We always think about kids having bedtimes. It's just as if not more important that we have bedtimes when we're adults, because we've got jobs, we've got shit to do, and especially in bodybuilding, you've got goals you want to achieve. And the difference that it makes when you actually get good sleep is absolutely wild. And speaking of which, I'm actually going to take my sleep supplementation right now. I've currently just got some ashwagandha and magnesium from Trained by JP. Usually I would take, I'm just taking my other supplements as well. Usually I would actually take Dream Sleep or Unwind, but we've actually run out at the moment, so that will have to do. So yes, you can use supplements. They will help. Magnesium, ashwagandha, glycine, all these things that help you with, you know, relaxing and maybe getting better sleep quality. But the thing that's important above all else is having good routine and habits. Like, you can't sit there and go, oh, I'm taking melatonin, but I'm not falling asleep, when you sat there on your phone right up until the minute that you go to bed, and you spend all evening just laid in bed, working in bed, faffing around on social media, and then you put your phone away and wonder why your body doesn't then want to go to sleep in that same location. Well, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out, and we all have probably been there at some point in our life where we fall into that habit. I know I used to be like that a lot when I was at uni. Honestly, the best thing I did, simplest tip you can take for your sleep. Yeah, sure, you can wear all these blue light blockers, supplements, great, but honestly, have a consistent bedtime and wake time, and have a good sleep environment. So don't spend time in the bedroom aside from when you need to go to bed. Even if you live in a small studio, avoid just sitting in your bed all day. And also get off your phone before you go to bed. Put your phone away, put it on charge at least an hour or 2 hours if you can do before you go to sleep. Remove social media, remove work, remove all those things when you can. That'll make a world of difference. So that's my final piece of advice for today's video. If you've made it to the end, you can comment down the sleep emoji. So you can do either the emoji of the guy that's snoring, or the snoring emojis, but maybe you put sleep with it, because people probably see those comments and then they'll just think that you're saying that the video is boring. So maybe that doesn't help. Something along those lines will do. You can accompany the emoji and tell me that you actually liked the video. That might actually help. But either which way, like, subscribe, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.